Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's the triple option, and I'm here with my guys, my men, my compadres. I'm here with my coach, Adam Brown, and I'm here with my guy, my analyst, my video maestro, Kevin Little. Hey, guys, say what's up to the people.
What's up to the people?
How's it going?
Ah, Adam, so literal. I love it. Listen, boys, we took a week off. This is the dead season, but we're getting close. Spring ball starts in March, and that's when we're really going to start getting cranked up, ready to go. We're going to have some nice spring ball position previews for you next week. Be on the lookout for that. It's what the color tees and the biz. I am a consummate professional. But tonight, we love you guys so much. We want to talk to you. We want to answer your direct questions. We're going to do a little combo episode. We're going to do a little mini mailbag for you. We got a plethora of very thought-provoking, very substantial, very well-educated questions, as only the triple option fan base can provide. So we're going to answer those for you. As well, we're going to do a little celebration, going to pop the bubbly for Jalen Ramsey and Cam Akers. Two Noles that just won the Super Bowl. Two Los Angeles Rams. They won the Super Bowl on Sunday night. And I've always been partial to Jalen Ramsey, the sass man himself. And Cam Akers, my lord, a Seminole that deserved better during his time here. They both have rings, and we thought, do something topical, do something fun. We were going to break down some of their film from college just and figure out why they are the NFL stars that they are. So before we get into the questions, just how you guys doing, man? Doing good?
Yeah, absolutely. Had a little downtime here of late, which has been nice. Kids are doing good. Everything's good, man. I'm ready. I can't wait for 2 weeks after spring ball. I can't wait for spring ball to get
I
here.
know, you're just chomping at the bit. Kevin, you look like $1,000,000. You've got those nice little decorative lights hanging in the background. They pop your face so nicely. You look so sprightly and keen and ready to go. How you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Florida State won tonight in basketball, so that's a new feeling.
Yeah. Woof. Rough season for your round ball fans out there. However, welcome to the football fans world. It's nice of you to join us. Well, listen, let's just jump into the mailbag, shall we? Pleasantries aside, I know you guys are doing well. Let's take our first question from Logan. I believe he is from the X's and Noles Patreon account.
Mm-hmm.
And guys, listen, Kevin can afford those sweet little cool dangly lights in the background because of your contribution to his Patreon. But by my count, I can only see 4. Let's pump those contributions up. Let's get them 5, 6, maybe even double digits. All right, Logan would want to know, what are the top storylines that you guys are going to be following for spring practice? And are there any specific players you think will emerge after the spring? So first part of that question is pretty self-explanatory. But I think the second part is, like a guy that's going to come out of nowhere, like any guys that are under the radar right now that we expect to emerge after spring. So, Kevin, I'm going to start with you. What's a storyline that you're going to be looking for in spring ball?
I mean, obviously the eyes immediately go to the transfers, but
Right.
outside of the transfers, I want to look at Patrick Payton. So he's going to be a second-year defensive end. What stories are that he's gained a little bit of weight and so I want to see if he's someone that can come in and give you valuable minutes at the defensive end position. So I think that's what I'll be looking for, like if I had to choose one player.
Sure. So the players, Patrick Payton, the storyline is the integration of the transfers. Is there a specific position group or just like in total you're thinking of like with the integration that's interesting to you?
For the transfers?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the wide receivers.
Right.
Where they are, how do they look? How does Wright and blanking on the kid from Oregon?
Micah Pittman.
How does Pittman look? How does Wright look? How do they want to use the Wilson kid from Arizona State?
How quickly do span can like a kid that's so raw, like is he ready to just fully commit to the receiver position? Can he take a huge leap that his kind of potential's there? I'm with you. I think that's kind of to me at least, that's the most obvious storyline. Just what does that receiver room look like this year? Who shakes out? Is it going to be a full just transfer overhaul with Malik McLean and 3 transfers, or does a guy like Ontario Wilson maybe step up? Things like that. I think that's a very interesting storyline to watch. Adam, what about yourself? Storyline that you're interested in and maybe an under the radar player that you are looking at?
Yeah, I mean, I think the story of spring ball for me anyway is going to be just Jordan Travis. How much can he take another step going into spring? Can he come out of spring healthy? Can he really solidify himself as the true starter and the true leader of this football team that they can kind of get behind and ride, through the season. So that really is the main thing I'm going to be paying attention to. And it may be a second little storyline or, little thing to watch after that is just what's your offensive line going to be? They've got a lot of bodies there and they've got a lot of health heading into the spring with that offensive line group. Just what's that all going to shape up to be? That right tackle job is intriguing to me. I'm kind of curious to see who ends up winning. And then a guy that I'm going to be paying attention to that I think has been I would consider to be an under the radar, but he's a transfer prospect is Bless Harris. I think he's more talented than some are giving him credit for. I'm kind of curious, he's got starter experience at Lamar. I'm kind of curious to see if he can jump in and seize a role at that right tackle job, or right guard, whichever. So I think he's starting a tackle. I'm curious to see if he can jump in there and really grab a hold of that job and solidify a spot that's really been a turnstile for a few years now.
And I'm with you, Adam. I think that's actually a very underrated storyline, offensive line composition, because you have Bless Harris coming in. You've got my word, and I'm a guy who's gotten some pretty decent chin cabbage himself, but Caden Lyles from Wisconsin, just fantastic beard. But he comes in as like your surefire starter. So what is it? What do you do with Murray Smith? Right. There's always been talk of some of these guys that have played tackle for us over the years, like Robert Scott, the Specs King, Darius Washington, guys that are, they've played when they've been healthy, very serviceable at tackle, sometimes good. But you also have some commentators, some analysts that say those guys are better suited inside. Well, will this infusion of talent allow some of those guys to move inside? Who's going to play where? What is going to be the starting five? Who are going to be the young guys that are going to shine, and who are going to be the depth pieces? Like, is a kid like Lloyd Willis finally going to take the step to be like the reliable number 2 piece? I think that offensive line is actually more interesting than a lot of people have given it credit for. Yeah. I think my storyline for next year is the defense, believe it or not. I'm interested to see how, and I don't know if we're going to get this answer during the spring, but Adam Fuller is going to go from coordinating a defense with stellar defensive ends, holes in the middle, and some question marks at DB, to a defense that's really strong in the interior, questionable at defensive end, with a lot more solid of a backfield. There's been some like S&P projections of Florida State possibly having like a top 20 defense.
Yeah, I saw like 14 something.
Yeah, which is crazy. I think that projection might be underrating the loss of like a Keir Thomas and a Jermaine Johnson for sure. But Jamie Robinson's back, another year of Kevin Noles, Amarian Cooper, Akeem Dent kind of thrived at safety near the end of the year. It'll be interesting to see like how Adam Fuller uses the pieces that he has, that he lost his most talented player that he's ever coached by far in Jermaine Johnson, but might he have an even better overall defense, and how much by having a more experienced, back end and middle of the field, especially the linebacking core with Tatum Bethune from UCF and Kalen DeLoach. Are we going to start to see more of Marshall and Memphis Adam Fuller, like a little bit more schematic diversity on the back end? I'm interested in that. My player to watch.
Sounds like it's Jared Verse.
Yeah, and we're going to get to him, so I'll skip by him. I'm interested. I really am interested. I mentioned him earlier, but Tatum Bethune, because that's a guy that we reviewed film on. That's a guy that a lot of people expect to be a surefire starter. That's a guy that, at least in the game that we watched against Florida, I thought really shined in coverage and maybe wasn't as sure in the run game as we got to see. Now, that's just a one-game sample size. I'm interested to see what could happen if that kid is like a complete linebacker, and what Florida State could do with the middle of the field that's not just like wide open for business. So I'm interested to see those storylines. So let's see.
Trey, I just want an overarching theme that I think that is really going to kind of go unrecognized by a lot. But heading into the spring, the first year you got 3 practices, and then the COVID hit, shut everything down.
Right.
Last year you went into spring really installing a brand new defense in the 4-2-5. We'll call it that. It's really kind of what they based out of for most of the year.
Yep.
This is going to be the first year where they're going to go into spring kind of knowing what the hell they are.
Yeah, that's
which
very
means
true.
some scheme continuity, some player continuity. I mean, that means something for a football coach. It's very valuable to go in, and for football players too, to go into a practice setting and know what the hell's going on, and you're not changing things around. So, I'm anxious to see what their pace in practice is when they're out there doing these things, knowing what's really they've got a baseline understanding of what's expected and what's going on at this point.
Right. And that's a good point. And speaking of continuity, for better or worse, there's also a lot of continuity on the coaching staff. So that brings us to Logan's other question from the Patreon. Like I said, guys, gave Kevin the money on the Patreon. We read all your questions first.
Get your questions in there too.
Logan, another question, and this is from Logan. He goes, it seems like FSU Norvell didn't prove themselves enough to attract top assistant coaches to replace Ron Dugans and possibly others. What do you think FSU and or Norvell needs to do next season to attract those top assistants and improve his coaching staff?
Win.
Yeah, win. That's the antidote to everything, right?
Yeah, he's got to get the dead man walking kind of stigma off his back if he's
right. And I agree. So
attract talent.
The easy answer is definitely win. My follow would be how much. Now, I think the answer to that is whatever is enough to show to the national media and your peers in the coaching fraternity that you have some sense of stability at your job. You can't be a guy that has all these like nebulous rumors of, is he going to get axed? Is he going to do this? Is there going to be a 10,000 fan space called Fire Mike Norvell? He's a bitch. Like, will there? That was pretty funny, by the way, when that happened. And it was early signing day. I get it. I'm sorry. I thought that was pretty funny. However, that type of stuff needs to go away. There needs to be, Mike Norvell is the captain of a ship that is on course and ready to go. Now, how many wins signifies that to the national media, to the other coaches that are going to have to listen to Mike Norvell's pitch? At least 7? What do you guys think?
I think it's probably 9 or 10, right?
Yeah. If you want to get legitimate upgrades.
To really destroy the idea that
you don't need to win 9 games to get a better freaking coach than Ron Dugans, do you?
I mean, he's trying to upgrade to Jawan Sider. I mean, you're not just trying to upgrade over Ron Dugans. I mean, you're trying to upgrade over Ron Dugans.
Right. You're losing continuity.
I mean, you're talking about national perspective, which we know goes out the window. I mean, it's just bullshit. They don't pay any attention. They just make shit up.
Yes,
I mean,
true.
If you win 7 games and you lose to Miami and Florida, Kirk Herbstreit's going to be, that's not the standard down there in Tallahassee. Yeah, that might be right, but damn, if that wouldn't be, I'd take 7 wins right now. I don't know if 7 wins is going to be enough to kill that narrative. I mean, I think, and I'm just talking about strictly from a national perspective. But I mean, there's plenty of people in the fan base that think if they don't win 8, he's dead man walking. So, I don't know. That's a tough question.
What about you, Kev? Do you agree with Adam that we think because of all the damage that's been done to the brand, the embarrassing defeats, both Jacksonville State and Jackson State, Travis Hunter, just the run of kind of embarrassing national events that have befallen Florida State? Does Mike Norvell need to even overachieve to get the assistance that he really wants?
I will say that Miami and Florida appearing to step it up this offseason, recovering quickly from these recruiting classes, a lot of hype behind the hires going down in Coral Gables. I think that accelerates his clock on some level. I think that makes it like you can't just keep winning 7 games when these other guys come in and have all this flash and pomp and circumstance around them.
I agree.
You're you're running out of time. So I think anything less than 8 wins and people are talking about him not being the coach soon.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see how that 7 or that 8 is compromised. I will agree with you. I think that's something that's going to be a real that's always going to be a surrounding storyline, in my opinion, even before we get to the games that are played, is what's the energy like surrounding Florida State recruiting right now? Because it's been one thing over the past couple of years. Florida State fans and fans of college football in Florida have become very resigned to Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Georgia coming in state, cherry picking the top kids, and then Florida, Florida State, Miami. They're kind of fighting over the scraps in some instances. Now, I think what's really going to be just a fiery hot poker in the side of Mike Norvell's ribs is if like a Florida and a Miami can start keeping that elite in-state talent, and they're not. I think that's something that's really going to be very eye-opening, and it's going to be something that's very concerning. Not that I necessarily predict that to happen, but Florida and Miami made some good coaching hires. There's a lot of energy behind those programs. We've seen the value of energy at the beginning of a coach's tenure if they can really capitalize that on the recruiting trail, and especially if they can win early. So I think that in addition to he needs to win, there also needs to be that perception that Florida State isn't a program kind of on the decline, and they're going to need the God, I hate acronyms, the climb to continue, both from all the stuff on and off the field. But I'm with you. I'm with you guys. I think that while Florida State fans are going to accept one thing, we might have to overachieve a little bit to really get those elite optimum hires that we're looking for. Fox, OX, WRX. What do you guys think the ceiling is for this offense? Like expected points per game, yards per game type stuff. I kind of suck with the numbers, so I'm not really sure. What do you think is the ceiling for this offense this year with Jordan Travis? Too many, including I love that the bromance between Kenneth Dillingham and Jordan Travis just continues across the coasts, across time zones. It's really lovely. Kenny said that he thinks Jordan Travis is a top 25 QB in the nation. I mean, what is the ceiling for this offense with Jordan Travis coming back and with a whole host of unproven weapons on the outside? You're on mute, Adam, which
I'll answer.
Not really.
Okay, there you go.
Okay,
no, you lost your chance. Now I'm just host mute. Go ahead, Kevin. I'm unreal.
Okay, so I'm looking at last year's stats, and FSU 28.5 points per game, 57th in the country. Yards per play 5.6, at 62nd in the country. So we were kind of in that 60th range last year.
Just meh.
Yeah. I think we get better. I think the wide receiver additions are big. I think without wide receivers that can win one-on-one matchups, I don't think Norvell's passing game is really deep enough to kind of make up for that.
Do you mean from when you say deep enough, do you mean from like a route concept standpoint? What do you mean?
Yeah, so I'm actually doing a video on it soon. It's been in the works for a minute now, but a lot of his routes come down to isolation. He'll go trips and then try to ISO someone on the backside, or take a fade in a slot fade play where he's isolated his slot on the safety. And he'll occasionally do like a mesh route or something that's like a pick, or getting his guys open in space despite losing a one-on-one matchup. But that's not what he wants to do. He wants to take those shots. He wants to be vertical. And I think last year, if I had a criticism of his play calling, was that he was a little bit insistent on that. And at the end of the year, you saw him get a little bit more clever with it. I remember specifically a play with Ja'Kai Douglas going in motion and then getting kind of a rub off of a wheel that sprung him open, which is the kind of things you have to do when you don't have the talent to win the one-on-one matchups. I think if just one of these transfers works out and can be a matchup problem, or even if two are all right, that means that your number 2 receiver gets to face their number 2 defender, and you might can win that matchup. So you just throwing numbers at this receiver problem, I think, improves the offense. I would say we're going to move from that 60 range down to closer to the 40 range if I were to guess.
Do you think the ceiling is any higher than that? You predict it to be like a top 40 offense. Do you think that's about the ceiling right now for 2022 as well?
I think if Bless Harris works out, you get one of these 2 receivers being higher than that, and Jordan Travis takes an equivalent step forward compared to last year, I think you could have a top 30. But
Okay. So, but you, like you said, the kind of where we expect to be, the ceiling's not that much higher than that.
no, I would say that the top end talent just really isn't there. There's no one guy that's going to blow the lid off of this offense that I personally see. So I might be surprised, but what's your take, AB?
I mean, I tend to agree with you. I think they can push into that top 30 range. I think Jordan's a top 30-ish quarterback in the country, personally, when healthy,
Yeah.
obviously. But he's got to get protected. You look at the last 2 games of the year last year, he was around a 60% passer. If you kind of expand those out over a 12-game season, it would have been like 2,700-ish yards, 17-5 or 17-6 touchdown to interception ratio, 60-ish percent passing. I mean, that's not bad. And you throw in rushing yards, I think it would have been like 700 rushing yards or something on the year. So, but you're looking at 3,500 total yards of offense for him. I think that's respectable. I don't think he's necessarily going to be the problem. I think you've got to stay healthy up front. You've got to secure that, get those tackles spots locked in and really kind of focused this year. You can't get hindered by injuries again on the offensive line. If you do, you're pretty much firing yourself.
Yeah.
I think I think Kev's underselling. Maybe he's not, but I think the right kid from West Virginia is a stud at wide receiver. I think he's an absolute. I think he's the best. He's the best wide receiver they've had here in a few years. Better than Tamori and Terry, in my opinion. He's a guy you're going to be able to ISO and get the ball to quite a bit. So I think he really fits what Mike wants to do with a lot of the slot fades and ISOs out of the slot. I think the Pittman kid's better than some people are giving him credit for. We'll see if he can be focused and not worry, and less time on his YouTube channel, more time on.
Hey, now listen. We are
whatever.
part of the YouTube community. Let's not look
Hey,
down upon bloggers,
Hey,
bro.
I subscribe and like to support a Seminole, but yeah, that's I think he's got game. I hope he finds that. I think this. You're looking at Spam, McLean. Where do they fit Johnny Wilson in here? Pokey Wilson. Where do they fit in the puzzle is going to be key. But I do think the right kid's explosive and can be a good player. I'm not the running backs of one position I'm kind of worried about on this offense right now. I don't know if they've got that reliable guy they can turn around and hand the ball off to over the course of the game, and they can go get you yards when you need them. Toafili hasn't shown that he can be that. Benson, we'll see. Ward, I'm not sure you can count on over the course of a game.
He shrunk at the end of the season.
Yeah, so we'll see. That's the one spot I'm worried. But I think that there's going to be elevation for those offense. I think they could push into that 35-ish range by the end of the year.
Yeah, I expect him to. I probably like Kevin a little bit. I expect him to be like a top 40 offense. And I think the ceiling's only about 10 spots higher unless Jordan Travis takes a tremendous leap. I think he's going to be a very good college quarterback. I think he's got the tools to do that. But when you start talking about like top 20, top 25 offenses, there needs to be a lot of diversity in what the quarterback can do. So, I mean, the ceiling is really how much Jordan Travis can grow. But I think even with the type of leap we're expecting, top 40-ish offense combined with maybe like a top 25 defense, and you're cooking against a schedule that is intriguing for sure. Bob, like that, right to the point. Bob wants to know who's going to start opposite of Jared Verse on the defensive line. Who's going to be that other defensive end? Is it somebody that's even on the roster yet?
Yeah, I think so. If it's a four-man front, it's likely to go to Dennis Briggs. It seems like they are fully intend on sliding him out to that Fox role.
You like that?
No, I don't. I don't personally, and I've said as much. I think they need to be a three-man front this year because I think that Dennis Briggs is an elite interior pass rusher. But that's just me. I'm crazy and wild.
The only counterpoint to that is Verse doesn't seem to be a 3-4. He doesn't fit naturally into a 3-4 or 3-2-5 or 3-2-7, whatever.
I get you. He's not like that. He's
like,
not
where do
like
you put him?
outside linebacker, like rusher guy. I feel he's a hand in the dirt type of defensive end.
I mean, Georgia's made hay with 6'5", 260 type kid standing out there just rushing the passer. So
That's
I
true.
hear that, but I think you can make it work. But anyway, I think Briggs is going to be fine out there. I think he'll play that Keir Thomas role well.
Steady, very
Yeah.
steady,
Yep.
sets the edge.
After that, you're probably looking at like a McClendon, Pat Payton. We'll see where he's at. George Wilson, if he's gained any weight. I mean, these are guys you're gonna
Byron
need to know.
Turner would be interested
Yeah.
to see how Byron Turner does. Yeah.
Peyton and Wilson aren't they more of the rush end body
Peyton?
style?
Yeah, Peyton. Yes, they are. But they've been diverse with that Fox role so far. I mean, you had a D tackle in Keir Thomas a year before. You had Janarius Robinson, who was a bigger, longer type end. So I think that there's flexibility at that position for them to get the best fit on the field. I think they want to go with a bigger kid run setting type there, but we'll see.
Do you see any chance that Dix or Lundy move down there?
No, I think
Okay.
I wish on Lundy, but I don't think it's going to happen. I'm not sure he has the length to fit.
All right,
down
let me
there
just
either.
let a blast from the past. Is Leonard Warner still on this team?
Yeah, and
I think he's still there.
He's gonna fit
Yeah,
into this
it's okay.
box.
No
Yeah,
disrespect. No disrespect. Leonard Warner, Quayshawn Fuller. Those are some bigger bodies.
Fuller's probably going to be versus main backup or main competition, even maybe for that field end spot. I think Warner was a Fox in 2020. They
Yeah.
kind of rotated him up there towards the end of the year, and he actually got a little burn there and then got hurt. I don't think he's going to start, but I wouldn't be shocked if he played some. And I don't
names
think it'd
to
be the end of
watch.
the world. I mean, 6-year player, maybe a 6th or 5th-year player. Veteran body you could throw out there and get some snaps. It's not a bad thing.
Steady hand. That's what we want. Some steady hands. That's an interesting question, Bab. Noel Jersey. I think this will probably be our last question of the night. Biggest newcomer and the biggest returner coming back outside of Jordan Travis for the returner. I guess who's the newcomer that's going to have the biggest impact, and who's the returning player that's going to have the biggest impact outside of the quarterback? We mentioned a plethora of names already, but what do you guys think? Newcomer and returner that are really going to be integral to this team. Kevin, floor is yours.
I personally think that the person that might, it's going to be hard to tell unless you're paying attention, but I think to us is going to make a big impact. Probably the biggest impact is Tatum at linebacker. There were just so many times where there'd be a broken play or something would happen, and you could point directly at whoever was playing will linebacker at that particular point in time. I forgot who it was. I think it was NC State. Basically, all they did was line up in trips, put the running back to the weak side, and ISO'd him on the will linebacker all day and just ate us alive.
Yeah, was it the Thayer Thomas game, or am I thinking of 2020? I don't know.
that was 2020.
It's been a house of horrors there. So I'm with you, and I mentioned Tatum Bethune earlier. What about the guy coming back who played for us last year? Who do you think is really going to have just a massive impact on the success of this team?
I think continued growth of Jamie Robinson. I think he's going to take a hold of this of the defense. It's Adam's guy.
You bastard, you! I knew Adam was going to say that. Okay,
Yeah. I think it's
great-
an obvious choice because he was our leading tackler last year. So
yeah. All right. Well, I've got a new one because I was thinking about saying him too, but I'm not. So now, Adam, you go.
All right, I'm going to go. I think biggest newcomer. I mean, I think it's easy to say the Winston Wright. I think it's also easy to say Jared Verse, but I'm going to go with Caden Lyles. I think there's a solidifying body in the middle of your offensive line. A lot of veteran experience. Slides in right next to Dylan Gibbons. Two big, thick, meaty bodies in there. I mean, just nasty Midwest type boys.
Two big meaty boys.
So, hopefully they're going to be kind of holding it down. Hopefully Caden stays healthy. He's had some injuries in his past. And as far as returner goes, Jamie was going to be my guy. Everybody knows how I feel about that kid on this defense, but I think I'm going to actually go a step in front of him. Kev talked about Bethune, but I'm talking about Kalen DeLoach. I thought Kalen really, really stepped up last year. Came a long way as a player. You get Randy Shannon in there now as your linebacker coach and co-DC or whatever the hell that is.
Fake title, more money. Got it.
Pretty much. So I think Kalen's going to have a really big year. I think that he really kind of settles things down in the middle of that defense for them. Hopefully takes another step as a leader. Adam Fuller talked about him a lot last year, about how vocal he became. Hopefully that trend continues and he takes it even a step further. They've got to be able to be diverse on defense, and it's got to start by getting better play out of that linebacking core, so that they can do some of these different things schematically on the back end. And people don't realize how much that all fits together, but it's really kind of crucial. So hopefully he and Bethune together will be able to help them do that.
That's good. Those are good answers. I agree too. And it's funny because Caden Lyles is maybe it was just the way that he like worked his like second recruitment. It was just very businesslike, dropped the edit and got out of there. I mean, out of all the transfers that are coming in, he's really the one that's like a surefire, no doubt starter, rock solid. And especially at the end of the year, you saw Maury Smith just by being really one of our only playable centers. So maybe injuries, but I think he was injured near the end of the year, ground down. There was a noticeable lack of push at the end of the year up the middle than there was at the beginning. And that killed a lot of plays before they even started. So I think that'll be interesting. And just also the kind of interior flexibility that having Caden Lyles gives you. My biggest, the newcomer, I'm going to go with Winston Wright. I know we talked about him before, but that guy, I was very impressed watching his film from West Virginia. Just I thought the routes that he run were very clean, massive mismatch on the inside and the slot as far as those routes over the middle. It'll be interesting to see. Is Florida State's lack of production over the middle passing? Is it because of Jordan Travis's unwillingness to go there, or the inability of our guys to get open over the middle? With a Winston Wright, that question is going to be answered in 2022. The biggest returner for me, and I think watching that Super Bowl almost kind of solidified the importance of interior defensive line pressure. Fabian Lovett, if he can stay healthy, is going to have a monster year, and he's going to have to for Florida State to be able to replace the production of a Jermaine Johnson. What's a good way to alleviate not having less than, and no offense to the guys that are going to play on the end, but Jermaine Johnson's a first round talent. But what are you going to do when you have less talented defensive ends? Some pressure up the middle is going to help out everybody. And Fabian Lovett has shown, when healthy, to be a very dynamic player, a player that had the chance to possibly go pro this year, elected to come back. That interior defensive combination of him and Robert Cooper, I expect very big things out of. And if they're playing well, the defensive ends are playing better. And then it's also going to keep those linebackers that you guys were talking about, Kalen DeLoach and Tatum Bethune, clean to make clean reads, clean breaks on the ball. So it's going to help out everybody. So I'm looking at Fabian Lovett to have a big year. All right. Great questions. We love our listeners. You're the smartest, you're the best, and you're all probably the sexiest. So good for you. We love you. All right, let's look at our guys, dude. Super Bowl champions, Cam Akers and Jaylen Ramsey.
Tip the cap to you, man.
I love them both. Cam, my God, that poor fellow. Like, just such a great player. Came in a really tough time in Florida State history. Played his ass off. I mean, it's definitely superhuman healing ability to come back from a torn Achilles, right? In 6 months. Stupid. And then Jaylen Ramsey. I'm a little bit of a sassy bitch myself. So I have always had a big place in my heart for King Ramsey the first, Jaylen. Just the clapping and the wonderful talking in the opponent's ear to their face. I've always loved Jalen Ramsey. So Kev, who are we going to look at first out of our two newly minted Noles Super Bowl champions?
Let's go with Jalen Ramsey. Let's work forward in time, I guess.
Right. And apparently, according to FSU stats and media, I'm going to use their stuff, the 15th Florida State Seminole to win both a national championship and a Super Bowl title. So how about that?
Fascinating statistic.
And if it could be wrong because I got it directly from the university and we're not above reproach. So if I'm wrong, they're wrong. But let's look at Jalen. What do we got here? Oh, this is a highlight tape specifically from the 2014 Miami game.
That he single-handedly just dominated.
And as we're looking at it, man, what are the traits that Jalen Ramsey showed in college where we knew this guy was going to be the best cornerback in the league.
I mean, he's just long. He's confident. He's got the speed you want, short area quickness. An explosive athlete. And he was a big time. Can't remember.
Oh my God! Look at that,
He was
Jesus!
a triple jumper. I mean, his numbers are just off the charts of athleticism wise. The thing that kills him, and it kind of showed up a little bit in these playoffs, is his down the field speed. He does get beat from time to time down the field, but I mean, look at that, just laying out for it.
He's playing nickel here, which I think, I guess I didn't realize at the time, but
if you remember, he came in and started out at safety.
They got him kind of playing Sam here.
Mm-hmm.
Which, just the longest nickel linebacker in the world.
I mean,
that's a problem.
Yeah, people don't understand how that impacts throwing lanes.
Oh, look at the sass right there. Yes, that head clap. That's the one I was talking about. He wins a play, freakish athleticism, bats the ball kind of in his face, and just does the sassiest back head clap. That encapsulates Jalen Ramsey right there.
The length is just really unreal.
Yeah, you just see how explosive he is. Dips a shoulder.
Nice dip under.
That's better than I've seen out of our defensive ends.
Yeah, honestly.
That's impressive.
I'm with you, man. Like you said,
Kaya.
Adam, I guess the only flaw that he has is that top end speed,
Mm-hmm.
but usually with the technique and the length really you're still talking about arguably the best defensive back in the league, and he probably has been ever since his second year in, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much.
He did win. It's so rare.
He won that freaking game.
Yeah, no doubt, right?
Mm-hmm.
And look at him just pound the chest. This is the game where Kaya lost a tooth, right? He got a tooth popped out.
Yeah, pretty sure.
Yeah,
Oh,
he was crying a second ago.
Oh yeah, Jalen's gonna sass the orange.
Trey,
Okay.
when you make a sale, is that what you go do afterwards? You just stretch your shit around.
I do. I'm a big shit stretcher, and I go to my boss's office and I just awkwardly seal clap, kind of like Jalen, right by his head, and I go, "This is why you hired me. This is why you hired me." Purchase orders.
That's great.
Yeah, that's it.
I love it. I love it.
Jalen Ramsey taught me everything I know about industrial light sales. Yeah, dude, I love Jalen Ramsey. I know he's polarizing from any of our fan base that may be from Jacksonville. Not to me. I love him, and I was cheering for him all the way. Solidifying a career that could take him into the Hall of Fame, man. One of those guys that Florida State is constantly using on the recruiting trail. If you guys still notice, we still recruit DB pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
We got some holes other places,
Mm-hmm.
but DB is always rock solid. And Jalen Ramsey is one of the reasons why, man.
I wonder if it's March 5th. I think they're expecting some alumni to be back for their big junior day. I wonder if he's going to be one of them.
Will the King be returning to his?
I tell you, that'd be beautiful.
Oh,
Would be beautiful.
He's returning back to the pyramid. My guy Ramsey coming back to the sarcophagus.
I got to say, this Azarie Thomas that they just signed this last class. I don't think he's no, he's not. He's not going. I don't think his ceiling is Jalen's ceiling, but he looks a lot like him. He looks a lot like him.
Yeah, he is definitely underrated, under talked about.
Mm-hmm. Has a lot of that same length. Lacks some of that top end speed, but has some of that short area explosiveness that Jalen possesses. His ceiling's not the same, but
Jalen also is just a ball player. That one tip where he was beat in the Miami game we just saw, but he was able to jump the route and tip it across the middle. That's just insane.
Yeah, the mentality is a clear strength, and I'm with you guys. That's right, Tom. That's going to be a fun kid to watch and somebody that we will. Now let's go to Cam Akers, legitimately a high school football legend in Mississippi, an actual legend. I'm not overusing that. And a guy that, my God, just
look at that catch.
That's really good.
And they don't
played
throw the damn
so
ball
hard
to him.
for Florida State.
Freaking McVay wastes him.
Yeah.
I hate McVay.
You hate McVay. Hot take. Or anti-Sean McVay show here.
That boring ass offense.
Yeah, it really is boring.
Oh my God.
When you watch Cam Akers, what really stands out to you? To me, it was always kind of like the balance and the strength.
Yeah, he was similar to Dalvin in that regard.
Oh God damn!
With the balance, I think he's faster than people realize. His vision's good. I mean, people forget how he was a quarterback throughout
Yes,
high
he
school.
was.
It took him a little bit longer to learn the running back position than I think people probably thought it would. I think there was some other stuff going on too there, but
You're absolutely right, Adam, that he is way more like versatile than he is being used right now in the league. Are they going to throw it? Yeah, he's going to throw it.
What a bomb.
Look at that arm. My God. My God.
Yeah, no, he's incredibly versatile. I think that's the thing about him that was so special, is that he's really an every down back in a little package.
Go back to that play and look how our offensive line got absolutely demolished. Like, what is going on? And he's still, but look where that is. Bam. And still, man, he hits a nice crease and pressure up the middle. And that's a lot of stuff that Cam Akers had to deal with a lot at Florida State.
yeah, I mean, he carried this program in 2019.
Yeah, he did, single-handedly.
Yep.
Like, that's not a touchdown with anybody on our current roster.
No, and he had a couple fumbles that were costly.
That's a highlight, Adam. You don't have to bring that in.
It is what it is.
You don't need nuance right now. Not in the offseason.
Somebody's going to be out there saying it's going to be in the YouTube comments. Yeah, but he fumbled against Boise State, cost us the game.
Could you imagine like Cam Akers behind like a respectable offensive line and
I would
offense,
I
but
would have
not like
loved,
James Blackman.
It would have been cool to see him comped next to Dalvin, similar offensive lines, and I do think Dalvin's the better running back and better player overall. But
I think Dalvin's just, his vision and first few steps are just so elite that it's hard to compare.
Yeah. Oh, he hit the hole really decisively there. I'm with you. It would have been cool to see him if he would have come in a couple years earlier. If Cam Akers would have got to do the understudy to Dalvin Cook that Dalvin Cook got to do to like Devontae Freeman and those guys.
Mm-hmm.
No, Dalvin wasn't on 2013, was he?
No,
never mind. Yeah, take that back. I guess who was Dalvin Freeman? Dalvin Cook was on the team with what? Carlos Williams and stuff.
Oh, he gets run down.
Yeah, we'll disregard everything I just said and just watch this really nice run.
Yeah, and we don't score on this drive.
That's him running the QB. Yeah, just
the wild
I was
cam.
damn excited when they were when they were running the wild cam and they were doing it out of the diamond backfield, and he would never read it right. Of course, probably because Willie Taggart put it in and didn't teach it very well. But
Willie,
they were running inverted veer. And man, it could have really been fun.
Honestly, if they had just done that whole first Taggart season, then they probably would have been a lot better off.
Yeah,
it just kind of sucked that the first time that they ran something cool like that was such an abject failure. Because I'm with you guys, that had potential, right?
Yeah, big time.
Hey, we're winning a game.
Hey, that play looks familiar.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, a little counter.
Is that Hornibrook out there?
Yeah, they're showing the toss read.
Yeah, but then it looks like they
bring everybody backside, but that's what we do. That's what happens on the read portion of it.
He had a day against Syracuse that day.
Yeah, this is a quality football player, man.
I'm so happy to see him shining in the NFL because he just doesn't, he's just not going to get the limelight that he deserved because of what this program was when he was here, but it's been great. I mean, he fell into the second round. That's just what running backs do in the NFL anymore. But
man,
go ahead, Kev.
I'd be curious to. This is less about Cam. I was just gonna say I'd be curious to go back and watch those Willie years with a little bit more of a magnifying glass.
Right, exactly. Just to kind of see what we had out there.
There's some talent on these teams.
No kidding. Much more talent than what the hell was out there last year.
That is 100% true.
Oh, man.
You bring the
punishing back for a little guy, too.
Oh, pop pass.
Oh, Gabe Neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
I liked him.
Playing in the
Speaking of guys
NFL.
that I liked, yeah.
I mean, Kalen LeBourne.
Yeah, that kid was quick.
He was.
Notice how we
This is-
blew out Syracuse, and every freaking play is the wild cam from that game.
It is funny, man. There's a lot more throwing on this highlight video than I thought there would be. He's so. I hope that this isn't one of those highlight videos that goes in like the Florida State dustbin of history because of the time that he played. Because man, he did everything he tried to Booby Miles his way to success on this team by doing everything. And
if he had a halfway competent offensive coach,
anything, yeah. And this of course was the offensive line was garbage too. And that
this
was
year,
Jimbo stuff catching up.
Well, in 2019, he had Kendall, and that's when they kind of took the next step, offensively.
They got better with
that's
James
nice.
Blackman at quarterback under Kendall Briles.
Yeah.
With significantly less talent.
Yeah, McVay's gonna have to start throwing him the ball more.
Because Frenchie's seems to be a terrible person, but he's a better quarterback.
Whoa. Hello.
What?
What's that quad view?
Is that
we got a lot of stuff going on.
Yes, we do, and I can't follow any of it.
This is like in every touchdown, like every short yardage touchdown he ever scored at Florida State.
I don't know. I have no
Every
idea what that
touchdown
was.
Cam Akers scored to pull us within 21, right there.
I was so damn excited when they landed him. Oh my god! I can
Oh
remember
yeah,
that day.
that recruiting class
So
was insane with him and
yeah, Marvin.
was it Marvin?
Yeah, Kando was in it. That
Yeah,
was
I was
Wilson.
thinking Kando.
What
I knew Kando was
What
with
a
him.
complete failure of a freaking class. Oh my lord!
And it is funny because I saw some
Hilarious.
people like, man, I miss these days of recruiting, and it was like, yeah, I mean, we were definitely the fake number one class in the country. What's better, being the fake number one class or the actual like 22nd class? I guess I'd probably go fake number one too.
I mean, of the three names we just listed, he's the only one that lived up to the billing, right? I mean,
Yeah, so I mean, in college, Marvin
Yeah.
Wilson had a good year, but then
But he's also the only one that doesn't necessarily need development in
Mhm.
college.
no, that's true.
And I think the coaching staff at this point in time severely lacked the development muscles. I mean, how many kids on this team ended up doing much? Being developed into a better player by the time they
no,
left.
it's hard
Yeah,
to
no.
think. Yeah, the people that grew while they were in school there, which is
Well, that was a great bounce.
that's another kind of tragedy of Cam Akers is that he ended up being so good at college because he came in so good. But imagine if he would have got some decent coaching. Man, he's good. I like watching him.
Mhm.
Horn Brook.
Oh, turn it off.
That's
Oh boy, we just throw a freaking screen to Horny Brook.
all right. We could probably turn off the highlight video once they start showing the 7-yard, the 7-yard reception.
Yeah.
This is quite the. Oh,
It's a
but
great
then I
run there.
say that. Tough run.
He's a very physical runner.
I mean, he almost beat that Miami team single-handedly. Also,
So those are our two super Noles. We love them. We hope to have some more in
tip
the
the
future.
cap, gentlemen.
Guys, I tell you what, made some chicken salad out of this chicken shit time of the year to be a film review YouTube show. I thought that was a wonderful. We got some questions answered. We looked at some Florida State luminaries. I feel good, and I feel good because we are firing on all cylinders heading into our spring previews, guys. Spring ball is just around the corner. As always, continue to stay with us. We'll be here for you. Tell your friends about the triple option. This is really when we start to get to break down the old film live and in living color. This is when the triple option shines bright like a diamond. And tell all your friends about us before it's too late. Spread the word. Go to the YouTube X's and Noles page. Subscribe. Hit the notification. Bing. And go to Kevin's Patreon. Like we said, we need some more of the cool decorative lights. Just want our guy looking good. And I don't really have anything else, gentlemen. Like I said, even when it's a slow time of year, triple option is all gas, no brakes.
We're like a month and a half out from having spring football game on this channel, breaking it down. I can't wait.
Having
Ugh!
We're going to spend months dissecting 30 minutes worth of us playing ourselves. I love
It's going to get really awesome and then really terrible right after that. Once we're done with our fourth pass through of the spring game, you guys are just going to be bashing your heads against your phones. But we're not there yet. Love you guys. Keep chopping on.
Chop, chop.